So good morning, everyone. So the previous session, yesterday's session, we discussed like I gave an introduction to JMeter. Let me open up your batch tracker. So yesterday we had an introduction about JMeter, and today, we will continue. I will try to start a script. Okay, so if time permits, we will try to do our first script. Today. So here are few more differences. Okay, between. So yesterday we discussed terminology. Now this speaks about like load runner versus JMeter, right? So as you know, like LoadRunner is a licensed software and JMeter is an open source tool. And LoadRunner has very user-friendly UI, whereas JMeter lacks in UI. Coming to text executions, this is related to text executions. We cannot run in GUI mode for load test. When you are doing a load test, right, we can't use JMeter in GUI mode. That is one disadvantage of with JMeter, right? And LoadRunner supports SAP CBEL and almost every protocol, right? And whereas JMeter doesn't support this SAP GUI and CBEL as of now. So maybe like it may release some plugins for this in future, but however, it has a limited protocol support, whereas LoadRunner supports almost all protocols, right? And these are the major protocols supported by JMeter, right? And HP ALM provides performance center. Okay, performance center. This is also called as LoadRunner Enterprise, right? Performance center is nothing but like a web interface for controller. Those who completed LoadRunner, right, guys? So performance center is nothing but, see, we have executed tests in controller, right? LoadRunner controller, we executed test executions, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So performance center is like web interface for that controller. So it is web controller wrapped up in web interface. Means you will have a performance center URL and you can access that URL and you can access that URL from anywhere, right? And anyone who is having valid credentials, they can start the test or they can monitor the test and do all those activities. If you have performance center license, right? Again, this is a performance center. It's a separate license, comes with a separate license. So recently they named it as LoadRunner Enterprise. Performance center was renamed as LoadRunner Enterprise. And like very big organizations, enterprises only can bear the license cost. Okay. And whereas with JMeter we don't have anything as such. We don't have any web interface for test execution and all this like LoadRunner Enterprise. Clear, guys? And LoadRunner being a licensed tool, it has a dedicated support team, whereas JMeter doesn't have any dedicated support team, as JMeter is an open source tool, right? And LoadRunner has a very useful feature called regenerate script feature, isn't it? We use this feature many times, guys. Regenerate feature, right? So there is no regenerate script feature like in JMeter. We don't have any such regenerate feature, right? So these are the differences at a high level for between like LoadRunner Professional and JMeter. Here, guys. Any queries over here? Those who those who joined JMeter directly, no need to bother. Like you will. No need to bother about this. I am explaining this for those who completed LoadRunner. Any queries, or shall we move to the next slide?
So why can't we run the load test in GUI mode, JMeter?
Because JMeter is memory intensive, it takes more memory. So that's what we discussed in the previous session, right? So high memory consumption. If you execute a test in GUI mode, right, it consumes a lot of memory. So that is one of the limitation of JMeter, high memory consumption, and heap memory issue is common when we execute a test in GUI mode, right? So that is the reason like we cannot execute test in we can't execute a test in GUI mode. Okay, when you start JMeter, itself, so you can see it here. Here itself it says like don't use GUI mode for load testing, right? Only for test creation and debugging. Means use GUI mode only for test creation. Means developing the script, and test
Okay.
debugging means debugging the scripts, right? So for load testing, use CLI mode. For load testing, use CLI mode. CLI means
Command line interface.
command line interface mode, right? That was also called as non-GUI, right? So for load testing, we have to use CLI mode or non-GUI mode only, right? Any other queries, guys?
Sir, load runner, there is a means it is free till 50 years, no, sir, like that. For geometry, is anything like that?
No, JMeter is an open source tool, so that's completely free. You don't have any, limitation also. You can execute any load test with any number of users with JMeter.
Okay.
It's completely an open source tool, so it's free to use. Okay. Yeah. So let's move to the next slide. So we have already started with JMeter yesterday. So if you want to use JMeter, like you have to install Java on your machine, because JMeter is a Java application. JMeter is developed in Java using Java programming language. So you need to download and install Java on your machine if you want to use JMeter. Next, we have downloaded this already. Like, this is the latest version of JMeter. Let me show you the link. You can click here and open the link, guys. Okay. So we have already downloaded yesterday, and we have set up this JMeter on our machine, right? And it requires Java 8+. 8+ means Java 8 or higher version. That's what it means, right? And whenever there is a new release, right, you will show that, you will see that over here. If Apache released a new version of JMeter, so you'll see that latest version over here, right? And you can see all the older versions under this archives. So if you go to archives and if you click on this Apache JMeter archives, right, and click on binaries, so it will list out all the older versions of JMeter. However, JMeter Apache recommends that. So here you see, right, you see all the older versions of JMeter here. 5.2, 5.1, 4, and so on, isn't it? 5.3, 5.4, and so on, right? So, however, Apache recommends to always use latest version of JMeter. See here, we recommend you use a mirror download. Okay, hold on. So, it's somewhere mentioned that, yeah, under JMeter best practices, it will be mentioned. See, use always latest version of JMeter, right? The performance of JMeter is being constantly improved. So users are highly encouraged to use the most up-to-date version. Clear, guys? So use always, the latest version of JMeter. Clear, guys? So you can click on this link and, you can go to the, homepage of this Apache JMeter, and you will see the latest version over here. Right? Now, so extract the zip file, and we are already done with this. And I have listed out some possible issues. So I think no one got these issues. If you have 32-bit operating system, like you will get such type of issues. Guys. If you have 32-bit operating system on your machine, you may expect some issues. You will face some issues. Clear, guys? Okay. So, and yesterday I also shown you like what are the different ways to launch JMeter, and this is one more issue that when launching JMeter, one more possible issue when launching with JMeter, and I gave the solution also here. In case you get this issue, you can follow this, right? And these are the steps for installing JMeter on a Mac OS or Macintosh operating system or a MacBook Pro. So if you are using Mac, if you have to use MacBook Pro in your office, or if any one of you have a MacBook Pro, you can run JMeter, as JMeter is a Java application. So you can run the same, the JMeter on Mac OS as well, right? So whereas LoadRunner, we don't have, we cannot install LoadRunner on Mac OS, guys. Remember that, right? So we can't install this LoadRunner. We use our controller on Mac OS. Or analysis components on Mac OS. Okay. Only thing is we can use as a load generator. We can use Mac OS as a load generator or Linux box as a load generator. However, we cannot install Loader on, Mac OS or this. However, but like this JMeter being Java application, we can use it on, this Mac OS as well, Macintosh operating system as well. And these are the commands to install and commands to upgrade JMeter. And this is the command to start JMeter. In case you have to work on a MacBook Pro, I have given the comments over here. Clear, guys? And like yeah. Yes. So like I have provided some links in the speaker notes also. If you need any further information, you can refer to these links. How do you install JMeter on a Mac, right? And how to open JMX files on a Mac with in one double click. So you can follow this, like in case you need any additional information. Okay. Now we also discussed this load runner versus JMeter terminology yesterday. So I'm not going to repeat it. Please go through the recorded session. I already shared the recorded session to everyone, right? And like this slide speaks about 5.3. What are the core improvements in 5.3 version? Okay. The reason why I kept this slide is I left this slide is so there are some major improvements in 5.3 version. From 5.3 to 5.4, there are not so major improvements. There are not much major improvements. However, in 5.3, it has some core improvements, right? So the first one is UX improvement. UX means user experience. Can you note it down, please? UX stands for, let me complete this. So UX stands for user experience. So UI stands for user interface, right? User interface. Right. So let's discuss this, like what are the features, introduced in 5.3, because, there are some core improvements. Okay. Between 5.3 and 5.4.1, there are not much improvements, major improvements. But, 5.3 has some core improvements over the previous versions, right? The reason why I have included this is like, interviewer may ask you, what is the JMeter version that you are using, right? So you will tell, obviously, you will tell like, 5.4. 5.4 or from so then the next question they will ask is like what are the differences between older version and the previous version, sorry, older version and the current version, the latest version. So you can tell this, like so there are not much differences between 5.3 and 5.4. However, compared to the previous versions, 5.3 has some major improvements. There are some user experience improvements, like added dark LF look and feel that improves several components, right? Dark LAF means, we discussed yesterday, guys. What is LAF?
Look and feel.
Look and feel, right? So this dark LAF was added, recently, and in 5.3, right? Look and feel can now be updated without sorry, this applies for 5.3. In 5.4, you have to restart. That's what we observed, right? That's what we observed yesterday when we changed look and feel. JMeter need to be restarted. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
When we restart it, see, let me explain that, like if you forgot that, see, if you want to change the look and feel, suppose I want to change it from Windows Classic to Windows, right? So observe here, it says like changing look and feel requires a restart to work correctly. So click S to exit JMeter. So you have to restart it, then only that, look and feel can be updated. So in 5.3, it doesn't require a restart. Okay. So I have let me highlight the important, improvements. Okay. Now see, I have highlighted the important improvements. Observe here. Undo and redo support for editable fields. Undo and redo support means you have, Control Z option, right? In the previous version, you don't have a Control Z option. Right? And what is undo and redo? Yes, everyone knows what is undo and redo, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Undo means like, suppose you type something, right? If you say Word document, so if you type something, you use Control Z, right? So that is undo, isn't it? If you use Control Y, that is redo. Control Y. Control Y is for redo, means you have reverted back. Now again you want to get that whatever you typed. Then you use Control Y. Yes or no? Right? So that is undo and redo. You can note it down. Undo, Control Z, right? And redo is Control Y. Understood what is undo and redo?
Yes, Kishu.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, so in the previous versions, right, you don't have this, undo and redo option by default. Okay, it was introduced only in 5.3. And next one is mark the currently opted language in the options menu. Hey, hold on, let me explain these also. When an element in tree is disabled, all the descendants are shown in gray. When an element in tree is disabled, all its descendants are shown in gray. Let me open some JMeter script, previous script. Okay, and just to explain this one, let me explain this one. Let me zoom in so that the font will be visible. Right. Now, so let me explain this particular concept, guys. What is this? When an element in tree is disabled, all the descendants are shown in gray. First of all, let's understand what is an element in tree. Element in tree means this is a tree in computers, we call this as a tree. Okay. In computers, we call this as a tree. Observe here, you have minus symbol, and when you expand, you have certain elements under that. This is called as a tree in computers, right? So suppose you hold on. So see this right now, all the elements are enabled under under all. See, these are all called elements. This is one element. This is one element. This is transaction controller element. This is HTTP request element. This is how a JMeter script looks like this, right? And this is one more element. You understood what is an element, right? Each component is called as an element. In JMeter, each component is called as an element. This is HTTP request, right? This element is called HTTP request. This is called as this element is called transaction controller, right? Now let's understand this. What does this mean? When an element in tree is disabled, all the descendants are shown in gray. Let me show you that. Suppose I am disabling this element by using Control T, right? I'm disabling this element in Control T. Descendants means these. Okay. So I think they reverted back this change actually. That is applicable only in 5.3. Hold on. I'll show you that in 5.3. I have JMeter 5.3 as well. Some companies or some organizations, some people may be using still older version. Okay, though like if it is 5.3, that is fine, but don't use 5.2 or 5.1. Okay, see, I have opened one script. Okay, now let me see. This is 5.3, guys. This is 5.3. Observe here, JMeter 5.3. Now let me show you some which have more elements so that it will be. Yeah, so let's see this. Okay, see here, now they are enabled here. Let me zoom in. Okay, so observe here, this transaction controller has two elements under it, right? Just understand the terminologies. You can look into the script later, don't worry about the script. Now I am disabling this element by using Control T. Now observe here, these are grayed out. You understood what is meant by that? Gray, descendant elements are graying out.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right? So now you see here, right? These are grayed out, means these are also disabled. Now, if you enable back, the elements, descendant elements are also enabled. So this is in 5.3, guys. This is related to 5.3 version. Here, guys. And the reason why I'm explaining this is, like 5.3 has some major improvements, so they will ask you like, can you, can you explain like, did you use 5.3 version, right? And, like they may ask you like, what are the major differences? What are the core improvements in 5.3, right? And the next one is undo and redo support that I already covered. Mark the currently selected language in the options menu. Okay, let me explain what is this currently selected language in the options menu. So JMeter supports, it supports international languages as well. Few international languages, right? Let me show you that. So you go to, options, choose language. Observe here, these are the languages supported by JMeter. So obviously, like, by default, English will be selected by default. However, suppose there will be some people who will be comfortable with their regional language, national language, isn't it? So if you want to see that, if you want to see this JMeter interface in, for example, let's assume like people in Germany, there are some people in Germany, they want to use their own, their own language. They want to see all this, UI in German language, right? Yes, they can do that. Observe here, I'm selecting German now, right? So you see the options here. These are the corresponding words in German language. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right? And like if you observe, whatever language is selected, right, that will be highlighted here like this. You see a dot symbol here, right? Sorry, this is Dutch language that I selected. Okay, anything is fine. Yeah. Okay. Is German? Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm just wondering why, it is showing as the Dutch. Yeah. Okay, let me revert back to English now, right? So, and also, you see the different, languages supported by JMeter, English, France, and, you can see like it supports Chinese language, Korean language, and all this, right? Let me revert back to English. Let me show you one more time. So these are the different languages supported by JMeter: English, French language, German, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, and all this, Spanish, Turkish, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean languages are supported by JMeter, right? And like when you select any particular language, it will highlight that whatever language is selected, it will highlight with a dot symbol. Clear, guys? Is this, is this line clear? Mark the currently selected language in the options menu, means it is marked with a dot symbol. Is it understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
And mark the currently selected log level also in the options menu. Let me show you that options menu, log level. Here you can see. What can you say from here? These are the different log levels, right? Fatal, off, fatal, error, warn, info, debug, trace, and all. These are the different log levels, and you can see right now info. The log level that is selected is info. How can I say that? Because you see a dot symbol next to info, right? That means log level that is selected right now is info. Understood or no? Guys, please be interactive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right? Next, rework of any test UI, rework of many test element UIs. Means they have modified, made some changes in the user interface of these elements, different elements, right? We'll see that later, okay? Only these are important. Whatever I have highlighted, these are important to remember, right? And one more important thing to remember is, this is very important one. Okay, let me highlight this. So default value of HTTP client for time to leave has been modified from 2 to 60 seconds, right? So previously, in the previous versions of JMeter, right? So, we used to see an error called connection time out. That is one frequent issue with JMeter, because, the HTTP client time to leave is 2 seconds in the previous versions, right? You will understand, what is this HTTP time to live when once we start scripting. But for now, remember that previous versions of JMeter, used to have some frequent issue. That is, when we are executing a script, right, we used to face a connection timeout issue. So in 5.3 version, they increased the connection timeout to 60 seconds. So previously, what we used to do is we used to do that manually. Right? Increasing the HTTP time to live. Right? But in 5.3, from 5.3 onwards, JMeter by default, supports this change that HTTP client time to live to 60 seconds. Right? So this means HTTP connections will live longer than before. I'll show you some connection. Let me show you some connection timeout issue that we used to face, previously. We used to get such errors, see, observe here, this is 5.1.1 version, JMeter 5.1.1 version. So we used to face this issue very frequently with JMeter, connection reset, connection timeout, and all this, right? So because that HTTP time to live, the connection time was used to be like 2 seconds only previously. We used to increase that manually. Okay. So however, in 5.3 version, what they did is they increased that HTTP client time to live to 60 seconds. From 2 seconds, they increased to 60 seconds. Right? This means HTTP connections will live longer than before. Right? And this has impact on connection creation and SSL handshake. So what you can tell is, one major difference that we observed, with JMeter is like 5.3 is they increased this, time to live, HTTP client time to live, or connection time from 2 seconds to 60 seconds, right? This is one important change between older version and current version. Even in 5.4 also, this is 60 seconds only, right? The next important concept you should know is they added, Chinese translation for tools menu. This is not important to remember. You have to know what is I18N. What is I18N? So I18N is nothing but, like just now we discussed this, a tool supporting multiple languages, right? International languages, isn't it? So that is called as I18N. Tool supporting international languages, that is called as an I18N. Why it is called I18N is I18N first of all stands for internationalization. I18N. So this stands for internationalization. Means supporting multiple international languages. And why it is called I18N? This is difficult to pronounce, right? Read, right? Internationalization, it's bit difficult to read, right? So, this is the short form of internationalization. Why it is called as internationalization? I18N is, if you observe, there are 18 characters between, I and N. Let me type that word here, paste that word here. Observe here, there are total 20 characters in this word. In this word, there are total 20 characters, 20 alphabets, right? So between I and N, there are obviously 18, right? If you exclude I and N, so in between there are 18 characters, isn't it? That's why this is in shortcut that is called as I18N. Clear, guys? What is this I18N, right? And as part of this internationalization, right, to support international languages, they added this Chinese translation for the tools menu. Okay, and report and dashboard. So in reporting and dashboard features, they added a median field to the dashboard. And what is median, guys? You remember we studied this mean, median in our school or college.
Average.
Huh?
Yes, Kishore.
Median. What is median? What is mean and median?
Mean is average.
Right.
Median is the middle. I think if there is a set of numbers,
Middle
then the
value.
middle one
Right.
is the
Right. So I have given this in performance testing introduction slides. Okay, I cover this as part of this performance testing introduction slides. If you observe here, so mean is nothing but simple average of all values. Here in performance testing, mean is nothing but simple average of all response time values, right? So general definition is mean means average, simple average of some values. set of values. Median is nothing but middle value in a set of numbers. Middle value in a set of numbers, right? So they added this median field to the dashboard to make the response time percentile field supports floating point numbers. So you'll understand that, later what is floating point numbers, response time percentile fields. So please remember that this median field is added. That's it, right? In this 5.3, median field is added. Okay, and there are some other enhancements or improvements from the previous version. So one thing is add new template functional testing test plan. A new template was added called functional testing test plan. Let me show you that. So if you go to templates, right, functional testing test plan was added, it seems. See, here it is, functional testing test plan. This template was added in 5.3 from 5.3 onwards. Clear, guys?
Yes, Kishan.
See, observe here, there are certain templates here. If you go to click on templates, right, there are certain templates, for scripts, right, for creating the scripts. So this particular template was added in 5.3 version, functional testing test plan. Okay. And use gray icons for disabled elements in the tree. So that also I have shown you. When we disable some elements under all the sub elements, right? So in 5.3 I have shown you, right? So if you select some element, if you disable some element, all the sub elements will be grayed out, right? I have shown that just now. Suppose if this is 5.3, guys, this is applicable in 5.3, please remember that, right? So observe here, I disabled this, I selected only this element, index page, this element. Now all the sub elements are grayed out. Clear, right? What is meant by grayed out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And allow spaces in expressions. So these are not those are that much important. I'll ignore this. Search pop-up, improve UX. Search pop-up. There is a search pop-up. Suppose you want to search for something in the script, right? So this is search pop-up. This is what search tree. This is what search pop-up means. So they improved the user experience in this. That's what this means. Search pop-up, improve UX means user experience, and improve the startup time. Skip test plan UI initialization. Right? So improve the startup time means they improve the startup time of JMeter by skipping the test plan UI initialization. Right? No need to remember this, but please remember whatever I have highlighted, those are important. So if someone asks this question, right, what are the recent improvements in JMeter, right, you can explain this. I'll take a pause here, guys. Let me pause recording. Now, let's start with, having said that, shall we start scripting, guys?
Yes, Kishan.
Yes.
We'll start JMeter scripting in today's session. So for scripting, right, we need some application, right? We need some application to develop a script, isn't it? So I have already shared this sample application to most of you. 1 second, guys, just give me a second. So I shared some sample applications, to most of you. So these are the, software and sample applications required for performance testing, right? So, for performance testing, these are the software required. We are using Zoom meeting, for joining the meetings. Notepad++, please install Notepad++ if you don't have. If any of you don't have Notepad++, please download and install Notepad++, right? And I'll share some sample applications to you. So we will be using these sample applications tests. One is WebTools, the other one is Konakart application, and the other one is AOS application. Okay, so these will be the sample applications that we will be using for scripting. So I already shared this WebTools application. So if you have 1 second, let me pause recording. So we'll complete this WebTools installation recording. Yeah. Now you can see that WebTools zip file is downloaded. And first extract that folder, copy that folder to some other drive, either D drive or you have only the other drive that you have is D drive, right? So you can paste that for that file into this D drive, right? And now extract here. So yeah, extract to, extract to, yes, use that option, extract to from the context menu, right? In Windows operating system, when you right click, right, the window that you get is called as context menu. You right click somewhere, suppose you right click somewhere, see, for example, so if you right click here, so this is called as context menu, guys, right? Because why it is called as context menu is based on where you right click, it will show you the options, isn't it? See, here you are getting different options. Suppose if you right click here on this file, so right click on this file, you have install option. Because this is the exe file, right? You have install option here. Yes or no? See, if you right click here, you will not have install option. You have open option. You don't have that install option because this is a zip file. You understood why that is called as context menu? Based on the context, based on where you right click, it will show you the options. That's why this window is called as context menu in Windows operating system. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right now, this, coming back to this application. So inside, once you extract this folder, right, again you have a zip file. So please do that again, repeat that again, extract to, right? Right now, you can see the folder now. Now the Strawberry, this WebTools application is a a sample application that we are going to use for scripting, and it is developed in Strawberry Perl language. It's developed in Perl language, right? So if you want to run this application, you have to install Strawberry Perl. Just like for running JMeter, we install Java, right? If you want to run JMeter, if you want to use JMeter on our machine, we need Java. If we don't have Java, we cannot start JMeter. In the same way, we need this Perl language to be installed on our application if you want to use this WebTools application. So let me quickly install Strawberry Perl language. Right here you can see Strawberry Perl setup. Please read the Strawberry Perl license agreement. So this Perl is a language. Okay. Ravi, you might have got a pop-up, okay. Yeah. This is done now. I'm clicking finish. Right now, like go to this WebTools folder, and first we have to start this server. So basically, this WebTools application works on Apache HTTP server, on a server called Apache HTTP. I will explain what is that Apache HTTP. It is basically a web server. I'll explain that, what is the web server, what is the app server. See, I already covered that in performance testing introduction, right? What is web server, what is application server, I already covered it. Now, this JMeter, this WebTools application, if you want to use this WebTools application, you have to start that server first, Apache HTTP server first. How you can start is, by clicking this start server. Actually, this is a Windows batch file. This is a Windows batch file. Okay. So, and you are not seeing the extension, right? See, observe here, you are not seeing the file extensions. If you want to see the file extensions, go to view and, enable this, select this file name extensions. Now you can see the extension. See here, readme.txt, start server.bat, and this is a DLL file. Now you can see the extensions. Clear, guys? Now, if you want to start the server, right? Are you doing along with me, others? So just, double click on the start server.bat, right? And the first time you get this, window, you get a Windows security alert. Select private networks and unselect public networks, and click on this allow access. That's it, right? The first time, only the first time you start this WebTools server, you'll get that that pop-up. Now WebTools server is started, right? Now like how you can access the application is, let me quickly show you the application, how to access the application, right? So this is the URL, guys, of WebTools. So localhost : 1080. 1080 is the port number on which your WebTools is running, right? I also explained what is port number. Port number is nothing but, every computer will have some software ports. This is software port. right? On which each application will be running. For example, MySQL will be running on port number 3306. In the same way, this, this WebTools application will be running on 1080, port number 1080 by default. Now, that's why you have to mention localhost means nothing but your local machine. WebTools is running on your local machine. That's why you have to use, localhost here. And, this is the port number on which this application is running. WebTools application is running. Port number means this server, WebTools server, will be listening on this port number for any incoming requests. Clear, guys? The WebTools server, that WebTools server will be listening for any incoming request. Incoming request means, suppose you type this URL here. So it will listen to that request and it will listen to that request. And if you observe this request, right? You are asking for a page called index.htm in WebTools folder, which is there in WebTools folder, right? So it will listen to that request and it will go to this, that WebTools server folder. And inside there is something called htdocs. Htdocs is called, nothing but HTML documents. So in here, you have a folder called WebTools again. In this WebTools, you have a file called index.htm. So what does your server do is, the moment you type this URL, right, it will be listening on this port number. Your WebTools server will be listening on this port number 1080, and it will go to the corresponding folder, WebTools folder, and it will get that file for you, that index.htm file. It will get that file for you and show that file show that page in the browser. Is it clear, guys? Let me know if I'm going too fast. If you feel that, have to go slow, please let me know. Understood, guys? What? Guys, able to hear me?
Yes, Kishore.
So when I type, index.htm in the browser, when I type this URL in the browser, so this request, so we are sending a request to the server. We are sending a HTTP request to the server. Which server? Which server, guys?
WebTools server.
WebTools server. Right. So this request will go to the WebTools server. Now, WebTools will be, this application will be listening on this port number 1080. Okay. For any incoming requests, right? So as soon as this is a request, right? Server receives a request, right? So what does it do is, it will go to that folder, WebTools folder, and inside WebTools, if there is a page called index.htm, that's what let me show here. Inside WebTools folder, you have a folder called index.htm. So it will get that page, that HTML page to you, okay, and show the response, show that page in the browser. Suppose there are some more HTML pages, right? Observe here, header.html and home.html. So if we send a request to that, it will get that page. Suppose I type here home.html, right? I send a request to the server. Now this is home.html page, right? And there is one more page called, header.html. See, there is one page called header.html, right? So let me show you that page. Let me send a request to that header.html. This is your header.html, right? You understood, right? That page should be available over here. Like then only you can send a request and get see that page. Clear, guys? Any queries?
No, Kishore, it's clear.
Okay, I'm stopping now. This is how you access the application, and this is a simple travel application, guys. So I already explained this application in my those who completed load runner, right? So they already know about this application. So now one of them will give the walkthrough of this application. Those who completed load runner, guys, can you I'm stopping your screen share. I'll share my screen and show the application running on my machine. Right, one of them will give the walkthrough of the application, guys. Okay, who will give that walkthrough, guys? So on my machine, I changed the port number to 1090. Sorry. Yeah. So the guess who will give this walkthrough? Those who completed LoadRunner, right? And did a couple of scripts on this application. Who will give that walkthrough, guys? Please make it fast. I'll give you control, I'll give control to you. So whoever comes forward, I'll give control. I can give control to you. I want you to give a walkthrough of the application. We don't have Sandeep today. Kishan
Yes,
or
sir.
Hemant. Wait, we have Hemant. Hemant.
Sir, today I'm using another laptop, sir. I'm having issues with my old laptop.
That's fine. So I am sharing my application. So you can give walkthrough on my laptop.
Okay, sir.
I'll give you control. So, like you just please give walkthrough of this application.
Okay.
Okay. So let me give you control, remote control. I'm sharing it to Hemant. Yes. Now you should have got control. Hemant.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, please give a walkthrough of this application. Explain what is this application and what are the different pages in that. Right?
Okay.
We have default user, right? How to log in with the default user and how to register ourselves. First, can you show how to register, how to create an account?
Yeah, this is the application home page. If you want to register, sign up now.
So you have to click on that sign up now link
Now.
and get this page. Yeah. Give some username like Hemant1. Give some user Hemant1. Please give password as password1. We are making that uniform, right? We are following that naming convention. So for any application, if you want to use any application, you have to create a user ID, guys. That's what he's doing now. Explain when you are doing that. Explain them.
Yeah.
Explain
I registered. So when we registered, we will get a message like login registration got successful. This shows thank you Hemant1 for registering and welcome to web. If we get this
Welcome
message,
to WebTools family. Okay, let me explain. So so once you register successfully, right, it will show you a message saying that thank you for registering and welcome to the WebTools family. Now, if you click on continue, click below when you are ready to plan your dream trip. Means if you want to, you continue using the application. So click on this, click below. Right, I'm clicking on continue button now. So what happens is you will be able to log into the application. Now it shows a welcome message. Welcome to the WebTools reservation pages. Right? Welcome to the WebTools reservation pages. So, as soon as you log in, it will display a welcome message and it will show your name in bold, right? Whatever username you logged in, right? It will show that name in bold, right? And now this is the, you have 4 pages in this application. The first page is flights button. If you click on flights button, you see a page like this, wherein you have few drop downs, right? You have a drop down to select, basically this is a flight ticket reservation application. This is a sample application for booking flight tickets. Please remember, this is a demo application, sample application. It's not a real-time application. Clear, guys? Everyone, right?
Yes.
So, so now in the flights page, right, you see 2 drop downs for, one for departure city, one for arrival city. And by default, you see Denver in both the drop downs. Observe here, remember this. By default, you have Denver city. Denver is a city in US, right? So you see Denver city in both the drop downs. Now, if you expand the drop down, right, you see a couple of other cities, right? Frankfurt, London, Los Angeles, Paris, Portland, and so on. There are 10 cities in each drop down. The same 10 cities will be there in both the drop downs. Please remember that in this application, you will have same 10 cities in both the drop downs. Okay. Whatever you have in departure city drop down, you have the same cities in arrival city drop down also. There is a reason why am I asking you to remember. Please remember this. Okay. Now, select some city from the arrival city drop down. I mean, you can change any city, either departure or arrival city. And observe here, you can enter the number of passengers here, right? So you can observe here, suppose you want to book 2 tickets or 3 tickets, like you can give the number here. Okay. So we'll go with anyways the default number 1. And seating preference. Under seating preference, you have some radio buttons. These are called as radio buttons, isn't it? And this is a checkbox. I hope everyone knows what is the difference between a radio button and a checkbox. Right? So see, these are called as this round shape buttons. These are radio buttons, and this is square shaped, option. This is a checkbox, right? And I hope you know what is the difference between a radio button and a checkbox. Everyone.
Yes, Kishore.
Right? So, in case of radio buttons, you can select only one value, one of them. Suppose I have 3 radio buttons here. So I can give seat preference as, like I can select only one out of these radio buttons. Either I can select ISIL or I can select window or none. None means no preference. Okay. And same way you have radio buttons for type of seat. You have first class, business class and coach. Right? First class, business class and coach. So you can select one of them. Okay. Whereas a checkbox, if it is a checkbox, you can select multiple checkboxes, isn't it? Guys, I have some non-computer background, guys. That's why I'm explaining this. Okay. So are you clear on that? Those who are from non-computers background, are you clear on that, guys? What is the difference between a checkbox and a radio button? Are you clear on that? Is everyone clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kishore.
All right. So now, I'm going to the next screen. So once you select departure and arrival city, observe here, by default, tomorrow's date will be selected in departure date. In departure date, tomorrow's date will be visible by default. Today is 2nd November, isn't it? Today is 2nd November. So you are seeing 3rd November. So that means next date will be visible here. So anytime when you log in, right, tomorrow's date will be there in departure. And day after tomorrow will be there in return date by default. You can change the date here, right? So now, I am continuing with the default options. I'm clicking on continue now. So, once you select the cities, right, it will show you all the flights from Denver to Los Angeles. I selected Denver to Los Angeles. So these are the different flights from Denver to Los Angeles. And observe here, this is the airline's name. Blue Sky Air is the airline's name, and this is the flight number. You see some flight numbers 30, 31, 32, 30, 33, right? And observe here, there is one morning flight, one afternoon flight, one evening flight, and one nighttime flight, right? The reason why I am explaining this is some companies give you this application and ask you to develop a script on this WebTools application. Okay. They will give you some script and ask you to develop a script on this application. They may ask you to book a ticket for evening flight. That means you have to book a ticket for this flight. Right? When they say evening flight, you have to book a ticket for this flight. When they ask you to book a ticket for afternoon flight, you have to obviously do a script to book a ticket for afternoon flight. మీరు చేసే స్క్రిప్ట్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ ఫ్లైట్ కి టికెట్ బుక్ చేయాలి. You got it, guys? That's the reason I'm explaining, guys. There is one morning flight, there is one afternoon flight, one evening flight, and nighttime flight, right? And this is the ticket cost for each flight, each ticket. This is the ticket cost for each ticket, right? One ticket. You got it? And based on the timings, you have different ticket cost. Once you click on continue, right? Once you select the whatever time you want to book, click continue, you land up on this payment details page, right? Now observe here, first name, last name we already entered, right, while registering. So that will be automatically populated here. And street address, that will be automatically populated. And name, first name and last name also populated here. Now you have to, you can enter some number. It won't validate anything. In the place of credit card, enter some dummy number, some fake number. Okay, so it doesn't validate anything, by the way. Okay, even if you enter, invalid. See, generally credit card will be how many digits, guys?
16.
Credit card will have 16 digits. but I entered only 6 digit, it won't validate because this is a dummy application, sample application only. And this one also, it won't validate. You can enter any number, it won't validate. Okay, and click continue. Now you can see like, the application displays an invoice page. Application displays an invoice page, right? And it displays a welcome confirmation message saying that thank you for booking through WebTools. Clear, guys? And it will show you the ticket cost, and it will show you the time and departure date and time and all these details, your credit card number and all these details, right? And now if you want to see this, suppose you went to some other page, home page, and now you want to see the ticket, right? So you can go to itinerary and see the ticket. Suppose you logged out of the application and you want to log in again, right? Suppose you want to log in again and see the ticket, right? So you can go to itinerary and see that ticket. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right, this is one application that we are going to cover, and the other application that I am going to cover in for scripting is this Konacut application. For Konacut application, like you have to install MySQL and Tomcat. Tomcat installation also should be done. I'll cover this later, guys, in tomorrow's session, maybe tomorrow's session, or once this WebTools is completed, I will do that, because this will take some time to install MySQL on your machine. It will take some time. So once you are comfortable with scripting, right, then we will do this. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Right. So I'll show you the steps. Like I have already steps of how to set up this. See, this is for WebTools application. What are the steps to set up of this WebTools application on your machine? And this is for Konacut. These are the instructions for setting up Konacut application on your machine. So I will cover this. I'll help you do this. Don't do that now. Okay. So because you may face some issue. You may you may do some mistakes while setting up. It will be difficult to debug again. So I'll help you do this. Once we are done with our WebTools application, then we will set up this Konacut application. Got it, guys?
Yes.
Right. Now let me go to the application. So this is now what we are going to do is, suppose you want to test this application, you want to do performance testing for this application, right? So you need, how can you do that? Suppose you want to test this application with some 100 users or 200 users, right? With JMeter, you can do that. With LoadRunner, you remember, like, we are able to do a load test with how many users? What is the maximum users that we tested, guys?
50.
Right? Maximum users that we can test is with LoadRunner is 50, because community edition, the trial version provides only 50 user license. Whereas with JMeter, we can test, we don't have any such limitation. You can test with any number of users, provided your machine supports. Your machine CPU and memory is enough, right? If it is enough, you can test with 500 or 1000 or 5000 or 10,000. But this application doesn't support, of course. WebTools application cannot withstand that load. So we will test with some 100 users or 200 users. Okay. Now, if you want to do performance testing for this application, like, we need some scripts, right? We need to develop some scripts, isn't it? For the critical business flows. And what are the critical business flows for this application is, I have, listed out here. So, I'll share this Excel sheet also with everyone. Okay. So these are the critical business flows for this application. User registration is one, and login navigation is the second one, and book ticket from Denver to Paris, right? I have listed some scripts like to do, with this application, and random flight ticket booking, cheapest flight ticket booking. Okay. So these are the critical business flows for this application. This is one critical business flow for booking a ticket from Denver to Paris. The next one is random flight ticket booking. Okay. The next one is random flight ticket booking, and then cheapest flight ticket booking and cancel ticket. So these are the critical business flows for this application, WebTools application. Okay. So we'll first develop this script. Starting tomorrow, we'll do first, we'll start with user registration, and then, like we will do login. We'll develop one script for login navigation and so on. Okay. So each script I will be taking 2 days, because I need to explain, like, correlation, parameterization, and all these concepts. And I'll stop it here for today. So we'll be starting with JMeter scripting from tomorrow. provided you should be ready with the both the JMeter and web to set up on your machine, every one of you. Clear,
Okay.
guys? Any queries before we close the session for today?
Load runner సేమ్ వెబ్ టూల్స్ ఇదే కదా సార్?
What is that?
లోడ్ రన్నర్ లో వెబ్ టూల్స్ యూజ్ చేసాం కదా, సేమ్ వెబ్ టూల్స్ కదా JMeter.
Yes, same application.
పోర్ట్ నెంబర్ 10999.
Okay. So maybe you are confused with this. On my machine, I have some port conflict on 1080. I have some issue with my port number 1080. That's why I changed it to 1090. This is the same application. I only change I have done is I changed the port number. That's it. This is on my machine only. Okay. On your machine, you can use the same port number 1080. As far as you don't have any issue with that. Clear? Okay, I'm pausing the recording, guys. I'll be uploading this session to my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. And like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is for recording purpose, guys.